So I'm back again today with another prompt teaching lesson for you all. Work on creative works. It's just something I love to do. I have a book I'm getting ready to release in the next couple of months, and well, I want to go through and find quotes that I can use from it in order to use on social media as hooks. Now, I could do it the hard way, go through and read it for the 6 millionth time, which I don't have a problem reading it. I love my story. But why take and work that hard when I have these tools at my disposal that I can use to take and do the work for me? This is the second part of our series, So You Think You Can Prompt. We're going to go ahead and see about building a fully maximized prompt for extracting text for hooks for social media. It all starts simply. As you can see, I have a basic prompt template for maximizing prompts that I always start with. Admittedly, it includes some things that are kind of theoretical. For instance, all these different bomb types have a specific way they take and connect directly to real-world prompting. For instance, the gravity bomb. The whole point of that gravity bomb is to take and find all the different information that it can related to what I'm asking and suck it into the prompt. It makes it so it has more dense speak. Really, that helps. Now, I know most prompters will tell you, oh, you don't need a prompt that's super long. If you over-engineer it, you're going to have issues. We're going to show you the difference between why you overuse or over-engineer a prompt and why you don't. But I also know I'm just some random dude on the internet. I need to take and put up or shut up. So we're going to start simply. You're going to see me type in a simple prompt. I'm going to feed it my book. We're going to see what we get from it. We're really only looking for, let's say, 25 different quotes. That's all we'll use, and that's all we'll use to take our fully maximized prompt at the end as well. Let's see what it gives us. As you can see, I think it actually did fairly well just for a simple prompt like that. But I know we can get better and we can get more. Now, I always start with Perplexity. The reason I start with Perplexity is because it's got the research mode that's built right into it. And I get 200 of these freaking things a day. I don't think I've ever hit that cap, no matter how much I searched with research. But it also gives us a great baseline. Let's go ahead and hit it. And once it's done, I'll come back and let you guys know what it spat out. As you can see, it gave us a much more detailed prompt. All these different professionals that dreamed up in order to take and make it so that we can truly maximize this. It even gives a way to take and use the bombs that I've given it. Also, on top of that, with all these different thought frameworks, it makes it so it thinks outside that box. Oh, and it even took and turned them all into all the different types of bombs. That's kind of cool. But this still isn't fully maximized. That's why I start with Perplexity. It's good as a start, but it never truly gives you a fully maximized prompt. It always tries to cut stuff out. It always tries to, well, lessen it. So we're going to take this prompt and we're going to shove it into Kimi K2. The reason we're using Kimi second is it's very good at taking and knowing your emotional quotient, what you're looking for, especially when it comes to prompting. Now, this is going to take several minutes. We'll be back once it finishes. And as you can see, even more structured, even better. Well, it even took and connected it to chain of density, emotion masks, all these different things that are true, real life, approved prompting techniques. But the problem with Kimi K2 is it always wants to output code. And that's another problem you'll run into with ChatGPT when we get there, but we'll go ahead and tackle that later. This next step is a little bit longer of a process. This is Agnes AI. It is a research platform. It's really meant for doing deep research, scientific research, things of that nature, but I love to use it for prompting. So we're going to go ahead and ask it to give us a maximized version of this prompt and change it to put the output as natural language, or markdown is what we'll actually do. Once that finishes, we'll come back I'll let you know what it's gonna do. Ooh, it's gonna take quite a few requests too, but that's okay. So we'll be back in a few minutes. And we're back, but as you can see, AI does not always listen to you. This decided to give me a report instead of the maximized prompt. So we're gonna tell it, give me a maximized prompt. You gotta treat these things like you're a drill sergeant. You're the one in charge. You need to follow through. I like including strike one because that lets it know I'm not messing around. And look at that. Holy moly. It saw strike one. Boom. Instantly. Prompt has come out. And okay, I need to make sure that it starts really naming these bombs though. Right now it's just, oh look, there's a bomb. All right, well, we have our next stage of our fully maximized prompt. Now we're gonna hit Manus. And I like Manus just because it's more than just a chatbot. You can make this thing generate reports. I've built websites. I've done research. I've done so many different things with just this. If you only have to choose one, Manus might be one of the best ones to choose. But we're going to go ahead and see what we can get out of this. Oh, I'm going to add in to fully named bombs. And we'll be back once this finishes. Through the miracle of editing. Feeling like these things don't want to listen today. This one didn't go through and name all 50 bombs. I'm going to go to tell it needs to name all 50 bombs. See what I mean? Sometimes you just have to tell this thing, listen, that is not what I told you. And believe it or not, that can get a better result just from doing that. Sometimes you get a better result from asking nicely. Sometimes you get a better result from threatening. It really depends on what you're looking for. As it is, I can see where it went through and named all 50 bombs and connected it to all the real-world frameworks. It looks like this one's, the last 10, it didn't really do, but at least gave us names for them. So now we move on to the next one. And this is one I'm going to use multiple times. It's the system I use the most, the LLM I use the most. So this is the one that's going to take and optimize it for itself, basically, as we go. And we'll be back when it finishes. As I said, the reason I really like to use the Google model more than once is because that's typically what I run my manuscripts with. It can eat the entire manuscript and spit out whatever I'm looking for, whereas most models choke on it. Looking here, I can see where it's taken and made all of my bombs connect directly to, well, and it starts off naming all the different things it's looking to break. Break Twitter's algorithm, X.com, dominate TikTok, all of that. I love how it's done that. Then it's gone through and really it hasn't done anything to improve the bombs up there, but down here, it's added even more information on how the bombs are to be used, what they're going to do. I love that. So now we'll take this and we'll pop it into my next one, which is Z.AI. I like this one. It is extremely strong for coding, and it's been getting better when it comes to writing. So we're going to take and shove this through next. This should give us another great structured prompt where it'll go through and connect all the other dots. Now, we'll be back once it finishes. This one's a little bit slower in the output. So looking over this, I can tell it did an even more fantastic job, except for it output in Chinese, and I don't speak that. I can see, though, where it took and connected 5 bombs to each persona, giving a total of 100. This is why I love this model for helping in prompt engineering. It really does take everything into account. But I have to tell it to output everything in English. Once it does that, we'll be back and we'll be on to the next one. Now that we have our fully English prompt, we move on to the next one, which is another free Chinese AI. This is Quinn. Quinn is, I would say it's easily in my top 5. I mean, it doesn't really compare to Gemini. Claude still probably beats it in some areas. And really, Grok has started to really take off. But I feel it beats ChatGPT since they instituted their whole rerouting situation. And really, it's a lot better than I initially thought it would be when I first started using it. Having said that, it does take a little bit longer. We'll be back once it finishes. So this may be a case where they're still messing with the weights or something on the model. Maybe they're doing something at the system level on their end, the server level. Because instead of giving me a maximized prompt, it just went and gave me a lesser prompt. But remember, you gotta show these things who's boss. We'll be back once it actually gives me a maximized prompt. Don't be afraid to curse at these things. They actually put out better when you tell them that they're a fucking idiot. As strange as that sounds. But we'll be back when it's done. Now, it still didn't give me fully what I want, but this is where I'm gonna show you a meta technique. And that's where you take the previous prompt we got, that is much more organized, much better defined, and pair it with this prompt we did get from Quinn, which does include some things like emotional masking, heat mapping to try and catch the eye, things of that nature. Because this is what's going to take and make a maximized prompt from time to time, is taking and melding prompts. And really, it's as simple as saying meld these two prompts together. And DeepSeek is a little bit slower. We'll be back once it finishes. So as I watched this being generated, I saw where, well, I may have to start taking some of these Chinese AIs out of my entire rotation. They're not really doing what I'm asking of them to do. But again, as I said, that's where our meta prompting technique comes in to make sure we get that fully maximized prompt. What we'll do is, and part of why I use Gemini for this is Gemini is usually fantastic at this. So we'll see if it will give us a fully melded prompt in order to make sure that we're including everything. And then once that finishes, we'll be back. As I said, this is why I use Gemini as my daily driver. It included everything that they all came up with, including this quantum gavel, where it takes and makes everything go down into one voice. It included all of the different personas with 5 different bombs for each of them. It did all of the different types of frameworks that we're going to be using in order to maximize each platform. And it included all the psychological things that were originally given to us by Quinn. Fantastic. Now we're going to test Minimax today. Minimax is usually fantastic at this, but it really does take forever. This is probably one of the slowest models around. If you do like deep research on ChatGPT, Gemini, you know it can sometimes take up to 15 minutes to get that response back. This I'm expecting to take a good 10, 15 minutes. No joke. But it usually gives fantastic results. We'll see if it seems like they're messing with this one on the server side as well. And we'll be back once it finishes. That actually took only about 5 minutes, but you know, that's great. Let's make sure it has everything in it. As you can see down here, it actually is going to tell you exactly what it did, which is nice. But you always want to look over the thing too, because even though it says it does something, doesn't mean it did something. Right? Ooh, forecasting trees. Ooh, that's different. But all of these are supposed to be related to real-world prompting techniques. What I'm really telling it to do is go out, do research, come back, let us know. Now we'll move to ChatGPT. I'm actually moving away from this model just because as a creative, they've started taking and putting a model router on it. You start talking about sensitive subjects, and it'll sometimes route you to what they call safe model. None of these are safe, by the way. Don't ever think of them as anything but a machine. The problem is when you're even talking to it about your creative process, sometimes you can end up in that safe mode, especially if you write horror stories. Now, this one's going to be thinking for a bit. Yeah, it's still thinking. So we'll be back once it finishes. So it looks like it finally finished. Let's go ahead and see what it gave us. Okay, went through and named all the bombs. It took and did it lessen our people some? Not really. Then it gave 40 of the frameworks. Okay. Ooh, it went through and defined the gavel that takes and synthesizes everything. I like that. That makes it a little bit easier. Okay. On the whole, I'd say it's fairly good. Now we go to the next Gemini model, which I believe the first one I used was Flash, so we'll take and convert this one to Pro. There we go. And we'll come back once it finishes. We're just going down the line. That seemed to go really fast, so we're just going to do a quick check and make sure that everything... Oh, it took and put some adversarial prompting in there. It also did some affective, meaning taking and performing, basically. And it's taken and included good reads in here. Nice. So this is really author-centric. Okay, and it did a good job with all the different bombs. Perfect. So now we'll take this one and we'll go to a model I've been using more and more. I'm growing impressed with it as I use it, because whereas most models tend to choke when you get dark, this thing leans into it, and that's Grok. Not the biggest fan of Elon, but I will say that man knows how to engineer. And it's usually pretty quick. We'll see how long it takes, but we'll be back once it's done. As I said, this model impresses me more and more every single time I use it. It included everything, number one, and really defined everything. And on top of that, I have a section where it says it should take and offer improvements. Not only did it offer the improvements, but it improved upon what the previous thing didn't improve upon. More and more impressed with Grok every single time I use it, not gonna lie. Next up, we have Claude. Claude is the little creative genius. You wouldn't think of an LLM as creative, but the way that Anthropic has built this, it's almost like its own person. Again, it's a machine. No, it's a machine. But we'll be back once it finishes, because it does output a little bit slower than most of the other prompts. Machines, I mean. As I said, I went through and looked at this as it was prompting and putting it out. I can tell you right now, Claude is the mad little genius. Not only did it go through and give me all the different levels of bombs that I asked for, but it took and made them work together. So you can have a gravity nuclear bomb, a gravity fission bomb. I think that's beautiful. And then the other thing that I found that I really liked was it came down and... where's it at? Here it is. This is where... nope, not that one. There we go. It really did take and add super advanced techniques for the frontier models that I like to use. It also included a list of novel techniques that are new. Like, these are cutting edge, apparently. And then it also gave another type of bomb to try and use, a recursive bomb. That's where it'll think over this over and over to make sure it is truly optimized. And it included a checklist. That's another huge thing that can help models. Even if you're just using a simple prompt, say you don't want to go through this whole process, that's fine. I understand not everybody has the time like I do. But including a checklist in your prompt can greatly improve its effect. Now then, the last one that we're going to do is using my persona prompt. This would be the master prompt that I use for everything. It helps me plan, it helps me research. I mean, I use this thing for everything, and it's very effective most of the time. Let's go ahead and see what it outputs. It's going to take a minute for it to go through because of how intricate the prompt is. So, we'll be back once it finishes. So, it's gone ahead and finished, and we're going to go through and really take and do one last thing. That's make sure it's evergreen. Right now, it seems like it's set up for specifically horror, which is what I write, but I want it to be evergreen, usable for any genre. And we'll be back again in just a moment. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say, if you're here, if you've enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, a comment, and I would appreciate a subscription. We're going to go ahead and include this also in the description so that you can take and use it as you want to. I mean, this is something where, there we go. This is something where I'm not just trying to build the prompts for me. I want to help the community. These are meant to help independent authors, really anybody who's creative. Let's see what it's outputting so far. Okay, perfect. It took the genre out. It took the content type and made it plural. And look at that. It even included like O1. That's a GPT model, but it's a very good GPT model. Yeah. Now that we have our fully maximized prompt, we're going to go ahead and create a new chat. And we're going to put this in. And then we'll take and do the same thing we did before using my manuscript. And let's see what it comes up with. We'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so it finished. Now I'm going to show you why I feel like doing things like this offer much better results. What the original 25 quotes were high impact quotes from my story. There's no doubt about that. It did a fantastic job for a simple prompt of taking and pulling out what I was looking for. However, using our fully maximized prompt, not only did it come up with the quotes, it gave us a short post to include. For instance, on X, TikTok, Goodreads, all of them different, all of them with different ways of saying, hey, check this out. Absolutely love this. I also love how it chose shorter quotes, whereas the other one showed almost entire passages. This one gave short bits that are gonna fit in anywhere. It's beautiful. So if you're a content creator, you're somebody looking to really leverage these for marketing, anything really, you need to be doing a maximized prompt. You can do it simply, you can do it easily, you can use nothing but free AI. There's so many different types. But as long as you're doing things like this, I think you're going to find better success. And in the next week or two, I'll be taking and getting this ready to publish. Once it's ready to publish, these will be ready for me to use. I hope you all enjoyed the lesson today. I hope you learned something today. And, well, I hope you find the prompt useful. I'm going to include it in the description below. If you would like to take and subscribe, I would appreciate that. I would love a comment, and I would also love to know how you use AI. Maybe I'll be able to offer you a maximized prompt in the future. Having said that, I do hope you all have a wonderful day today.